This is the 5 on 5 podcast sponsored by directmusicservice.com. I am Phenom.
I am Neek.
And I am Jupiter Williams.
And today our guest coming live from Los Angeles, his biography reads like a book. It's Doc Adam. Make some noise.
Boom, 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 boom.
But first, before we get into that, Jupiter's words.
Yo, check it out. Everybody, vote. Go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. Just vote. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Adam, how the fuck are you, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm sitting outside. It was hot as shit in LA today for no apparent reason. I went to the 7-Eleven and it was like to buy some candy, you know, because you got to do that. And it was like 97. And I'm confused because it's almost November, but you know, it's the way it goes.
Ooh.
Got done with work early. I'm sitting outside and I got this light on over me, so it kind of looks like I'm in an interrogation room. So that's the vibe right now. It seems like
that,
you know,
that is apropos for what's going to happen.
There we go.
This is the 5 on 5 podcast. What we do every week, we compare two artists head to head, their top 5 songs as voted most popular on Spotify. We go 5 rounds. You pick a this or a that. It gets gross. It gets weird. And then we come out with a winner and take it into the lightning round. This week, I told these guys, please let me pick for Adam, as Adam is our guest this week. So, gentlemen, I went with abbreviations. I went with bands with very few letters, and these are titans of the sports arena. These are titans of the massive stadium sound. I'm talking about AC/DC versus Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Sick.
Okay, I like it. I like this.
AC/DC from Sydney, Australia. Guns N' Roses from Los Angeles, California. They're claiming that sound. We're going to start with round 1, and I want to take it right off the top here and head to Adam. It's going to be Back in Black or Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, I'm going Back in Black on that one. I'm actually firing straight away on that. That's that one's pretty easy for me, I think. I like Sweet Child of Mine a lot. It's a great song, important song to my childhood, like early MTV years for me. I was probably like 5 or 6 when that came out, and we had just got cable, and I was hyped, you know, as you would be at the time, eating some Captain Crunch, watching GNR. But that's far from my favorite Guns N' Roses song, and Back in Black is just a stomper. So
yeah. Okay, cool. Travis, what do you got?
Back in Black, man. Back in Black. Just I remember hearing that at White Sox games.
Yeah,
that got me. Good guys wear black. That's all I gotta say. Good guys wear black.
Neek.
Sir.
Back in Black. I'm gonna be honest. I hate both of these songs.
And on that's a sweep.
That is a sweep.
That is a sweep for GNR. Let's go round 2. A little different. Highway to Hell or November Rain? And we're going to start with the man that hated the last song. Let's take it to Neek.
November Rain, only because I'm really not a fan of Highway to Hell. The punk rock kid in me is just not feeling it.
Okay.
And I know that's like so cliche and whack. I understand that AC/DC at the time of release, these songs were like hard as fuck. But now in retrospect, with age and the application that's been used on these songs, they are just the corniest songs in the world to me.
Okay.
Guns N' Roses is less corny. So
sure. All right.
Okay. Wow. The strong feelings from the man over here. Okay.
Strong. Jupiter.
I gotta go November Rain, man. That for me, that is the greatest rock ballad that I've ever heard. But no, I really, really like the song. It has different levels to it too.
Yeah.
Very different levels. It's a sad song. The video is epic. Man.
It's going all sorts of directions.
It's going all sorts of directions, but it's so good. I mean, it's just like, Axl is like really going through all those emotions, you know, in real life as he's singing it. And as the song is going on. I love November Rain.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take to Adam. What do you think?
So, ironically, first of all, before I answer this, I'm gonna say I'm on the flip side of this as Neek. like having grown up as a punk kid, hardcore kid, played in hardcore bands all through the 90s, early 2000s, like toured the world playing in, D-beat bands, just sleeping in basements and being a shitty crust punk dirtbag in those years. I hated all of this stuff when I was a kid. When I was a teenager, I was like, fuck that shit. It's so corny, so whack. And I'm turning 40 in a couple months, and I'm like, this stuff fucking rules. Like as I've gotten older,
I feel that sentiment though.
As I've gotten older, I'm like, you know what? So much of the stuff that I hated when I was a kid, if my dad put on Steely Dan, I would be like, fuck this shit. And now if somebody slanders Steely Dan, I will take my shirt off and beat the shit out of them. Like, dude. Like in like a 7-Eleven parking lot, I will fuck you up for it.
I think everybody in this room shares the sentiment about Steely Dan.
Anyways, yeah. I mean, it's just sort of a comment. It's interesting to see how like my taste has changed since I've gotten older. Like it's expanded so much. But this is a hard one for me. But I'm gonna go November Rain 2 on this one, primarily because of the video. Honestly, I mean, I think the complexity and the in my mind. Like I put this next to, I think about November Rain at the same time as I think of like Meatloaf, like I would do anything for love, because those two videos in my head are like occupy the same space.
Yes.
But that song, the Meatloaf track, is hilarious. I mean, it's just an objectively hilarious song. Like I still don't know what it's about. I'm assuming it's about like getting pegged or something. Yeah. So like, he's like, I'm down for whatever other than that,
Yeah.
But November Rain, gotta go with it. Highway to Hell is a great track. The other thing with November Rain, and I know, fully on the vote thing, and generally, have nothing even remotely positive to say about our president at the moment. But I'm not sure if you heard this recently. He apparently, a couple years ago, went through a spade, Trump did, where he would make people watch the November Rain video repeatedly in the White House. It's his favorite video of all time, and he, for no apparent reason, was forcing all of his staff to watch the November Rain video. And I love this image in my head of him like dragging someone, because it's just so fucked up, of him dragging someone into the Oval Office, like the most hallowed place, and like to be like you have to watch it, you have to. Just like he's just like desecrated every fucking institution in the country, and like making his press secretary watch the November Rain video to me is just like,
come here.
That's just exactly. That's just objectively funny. Like, there's no way that's not funny.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
You're never gonna believe this. It's Slash playing outside of a church. Guitar.
Watch this.
You're like, you know what, Donald?
He's like an old guy, like struggling on the internet, like trying to get YouTube up.
The really amazing thing about that too is, I'm sure you've heard those stories about like his Bloodsport is apparently like his favorite movie, but he fast forwards to the fight scenes. So he's like, he has so little of attention span that he has to fast forward to the fight scenes in Bloodsport. But the 8-minute epic Guns N' Roses video, that shit's holding his attention. He's like, this one's got me,
What in the fuck? Holy, I had never heard that actually. The crazy thing about November Rain, it is the longest song recorded that was on the Billboard Top 10. I think it comes in at about 9 minutes almost. It's the longest song to ever be on the top 10.
Okay.
Which says a lot, because pop music now is 2 minutes, 25 seconds, and then in and out,
Yeah. Well, November Rain is like five ballads put in together, so.
Yeah. It's like, we're going to take this, we're going to take that, everybody does their thing, and then 9 minutes later, you have a song. That's a sweep for Guns N' Roses. Donald would be happy about that. We're going to move on to round 3. Epic, gentlemen, is what I call round 3. I'm talking Thunderstruck or Paradise City, and we're going to start with Adam on this one.
This is okay. So I'm taking Paradise City on this one. I really like both of these songs a lot. Big fan of both of them. The reason why I'm taking Paradise City is because there was a kid in my school. What year? Thunderstruck came out in 1990.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 90. So I would have been like 9 years old. There was a kid who was like 2 or 3 years older than me who had a mullet with like lightning stripes shaved in the back of his head, who played Thunderstruck like at a school talent show, and he used to beat me up all the time when I was like 9. So he would like shove me in the lockers and shit. So he's now a professional arm wrestler in Florida. So I don't think his life is going that great. So that's my vengeance on him. But anyway, that's why I'm going with Paradise. That's why I'm going with Paradise City. So
it's Slash's favorite song, and it's Adam's favorite song as well. Travis, what do you got?
I feel like these are both their 2 generic songs, so I'm just gonna go Paradise Fever. Wow.
Shout out to me.
Shout out to Paradise Fever and all my disco heads out there.
Yeah. We can charge
City.
for that. Yeah, Paradise City.
I'll send you an invoice.
Send me an invoice. Dang.
Neek, the man himself, what do you think?
The irony is these are the 2 songs I like the most from both bands. I'm going with AC/DC because before Vegas had the Golden Knights, we had the Las Vegas Thunder, and they would come out to Thunderstruck, and it was fucking sick. So
that's
AC
dope
on this one.
All right.
That's dope. Okay. It's still kind of anybody's game here. We're gonna take it to 4. Here comes the cheese. You Shook Me All Night Long or Welcome to the Jungle. Let's start with Jupiter on this.
Shook Me All Night Long.
Okay.
Yeah. Reminds me of college. Stupid college parties. There you go.
All right. Neek.
AC/DC.
Okay. All right.
That's
pretty
it.
straightforward.
That's it. Yes.
Straightforward there. Adam.
I'm going Welcome to the Jungle on this one. Pretty strong. I feel like of all the, probably Mr. Brownstone more so, but of all the tracks on Appetite for Destruction, I feel like Welcome to the Jungle is the one that I can hear. Like, Duck McKagan was like a OG Seattle hardcore punk dude, and I feel like you can hear the punk in Welcome to the Jungle more than probably any other early Guns N' Roses song, other than like Mr. Brownstone probably. And to be honest, You Shook Me All Night Long is one of those songs that, 15 plus years of, longer than that, 20 years of DJing. Like, I just played that record too many fucking times. Yeah. So like anytime I hear it now, like there's not a lot of songs that had like totally burnt out for me, but that like 06 to 2011, or it was like 05 to 2011 span of DJing where it was like, the 2080s sets going on all the time.
Yeah.
Got to Zach and Scene on that one. But like that track just got burnt for me. Like I just am not interested in hearing it anymore. Where if I hear Welcome to the Jungle, I get hyped.
Yeah.
So,
which is
I feel
crazy.
that way about Poison.
Poison.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Allegedly, Welcome to the Jungle was written by Slash when he was visiting a friend in Seattle to kind of tie everything back into that. Which would kind of give, I guess it makes sense. Duff said it's a straight homage to LA, and that's about what it is. That one's going to go to AC/DC. We're all knotted up through 4. Let's take it to round 5 here and make a tough decision. TNT or Knocking on Heaven's Door, and I'm going to lead off with Neek.
I'm going with GNR on this one.
Okay.
TNT makes my skin crawl, and knocking on Heaven's Door doesn't disgust me. I'm not as disgusted and like annoyed with GNR, mainly because they're cooler. Duff is cool, like Duff is tight. Axl's kind of a crybaby, like if I hear the stories correctly, like with the Nirvana beef and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I guess I like this song more. TNT, oh man, that's one of those songs that's on the list of songs I'm good with never hearing again.
That's fair.
And you know what's crazy is I think AC/DC might be on that list like 4 times.
Okay, that's fair.
I feel bad saying that out loud.
Okay, let's go to Travis.
Was Knocking on Heaven's Door, was that the song that was on Chappelle's Show?
Yes. I do believe. Yes. Okay.
I gotta go with John Mayer in it.
Yeah.
And just TNT, that's the song that Oregon State will play going into sometimes like into big fourth quarters or big first downs or big third downs. They'll play that and they'll play way too much. I don't like that song anymore. Okay. So yeah, man, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Chappelle Show. Let's go.
Adam, what are you thinking?
I'm strong TNT on this one, so I'm splitting in the other direction. I think it's definitely not my favorite AC/DC song from the Bon Scott era, but like it's as overplayed as it may be, it's still just it's such a stomper. And I mean, as being a music dork, thinking about that coming out, High Voltage was 75. I think. Yeah. I think like that song was out of time. If you think about what else was coming out at that era, that song didn't sound. Nothing else sounded like that shit in 1975. Like that was from another fucking planet. I mean, it was literally from another planet, coming from Australia. Like these total psychopaths, really? Living in the middle of nowhere out there. But like that record to me is just. It's really powerful. Whole Lot of Rosie is for sure my favorite Bon Scott era AC/DC record. That track fucking rules. And I like Knocking on Heaven's Door a lot, but that's also like not my favorite of the like Appetite. I would rather hear Civil War, or something, or not. I mean, Use Your Illusion tracks rather. I mean, TNT is winning that one.
All right.
Yeah, that was close. We're going to give it to Guns N' Roses, barely sliding out thanks to the Bob Dylan cover, Knocking on Heaven's Door. Songs that we thought should have been included in the top 5. I'm going to kind of fire some out here and see what you guys think. Hell's Bells? Maybe? Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap? Maybe?
Dirty Deeds is a stomper, for sure. Yeah. I really like that record a lot. I like that. Hell's Bells is great, if only because the build on that track is so powerful. It'll also throw you off. If you're doing a DJ set and you're playing very odd songs, you have an opportunity to confuse people by going back and forth from that to For Whom the Bell Tolls. You can get a little bell action going on. I don't know where the fuck you play those songs back to back, but it's a club I'd be happy to DJ at.
Yeah.
That place is sick.
Yeah.
Couple of AC/DC other songs that we thought. Shoot to Thrill. Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll.
Oh
yeah.
Long way the same era.
Stomper. Absolute stomper.
For Those About to Rock too. I would say that. On the GNR side, Live and Let Die.
That is a powerful one.
The Paul McCartney OG, and then Patience, I would say, is probably something that should be included. Let's take Adam to the lightning round here.
Let's do it.
This is where it gets a little difficult. I'm going to throw you a series of questions. You choose this or that, and we're going to fry your brain with this. Let's start with Chic versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. Which one are you picking?
God damn. Personal preference, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay.
Perhaps in terms of DJing, I might actually lean into Chic more. But what I'm going to put on if I'm at home listening to music, it's more like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. Let's say Boyz II Men or Jodeci.
Ooh, Boyz II Men for me, for sure. Cooley High Harmony was my was I think the second or third tape I bought with my own money. I specifically went and bought that, and I got really mad. I got really mad like in the last year or so when simps started to become like a thing on the internet. Because I was like motherfucker. I was singing Symphony when I was 10 years old. I was wearing my like Miami Dolphins Zubaz pants, trying to like hammer dance, singing Symphony.
So sick.
What was your first cassette while we mention it?
Def Leppard Hysteria.
Dope.
Damn.
Dope.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Sade or Aaliyah?
Ooh, Sade.
Okay. Elton John or Stevie Wonder?
Oh, Stevie, come on. But yeah, like no knock to Elton, like songs for days. But you know, you're gonna be hard pressed. You're gonna be hard pressed to put anybody up against Stevie where I'm not gonna pick Stevie. Like I don't know too many. I can't even think of anybody that you could throw in there other than maybe Steely Dan, and then I'm gonna have to fight myself. But Stevie's almost always gonna win that one.
I like
That's
it.
fair. That's
I like
fair.
it.
TLC or SWV?
TLC. More bangers and more range, I think.
Okay. Prince or Michael
deeper
Jackson?
body of work. Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
Prince. Easy.
Okay.
Prince is top 5 for me for sure, as is Stevie. So in terms of just like favorite artists and like depth of catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Let's file a couple of the tough ones here. Phil Collins or George Michael?
Phil Collins.
Okay.
I'm including the Genesis back catalog in my decision, including the Peter Gabriel years there.
That's
so
fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Biggie or Pac?
Biggie for sure.
Okay. Al Green or Marvin Gaye?
Ooh.
Hmm.
I gotta go Marvin. I gotta go Marvin. Gotta go Marvin Gaye.
Okay. Misfits or the Cramps?
Oh, that's
Misfits.
a good one for him.
Misfits
man,
for
he
sure.
said it so quick though. Okay.
Misfits.
Yeah. No, listen. So I like the Cramps a lot, but the Misfits played a much bigger. I actually got weirdly. So I grew up in like the absolute middle of nowhere, like as middle of nowhere as you can conceivably get. You know, I grew up in a town of 400 people in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. There was like nothing there. So like and I'm almost 40. So my early exposure to like punk rock was super random. It was just like whatever tape somebody handed me, because there wasn't stores to go to. There wasn't anything like that. And I was given a cassette tape with Walk Among Us on one side and Earth AD and I think the Static Age 7-inch on the other when I was like 13. And so that was just like that shit just formed my brain as a child. So I got more into the Cramps when I got older, but like Misfits are just, can't be displaced.
Man, that's tight.
Let's see here. Bee Gees or Fugees?
Ooh, I'm going Fugees on this one just because I would prefer to listen to the Fugees. But I can't. The importance of the Bee Gees can't be overstated. But I'm never like throwing the Bee Gees on at home to listen to.
Okay.
What about Jagged Edge or 112?
Oh, I think I got to go Jagged Edge on that one.
Okay.
I think I have to. If only because there's like immediately just more songs of theirs pop into my head right when you say it that I can start singing along to. Like there's a handful of 112 songs that I really like a lot, but Jagged Edge to me was just it's just also just as a DJ I feel like there's more slaps in there for me.
Yeah.
There's some sleeper cuts, sleeper R&B floor fillers for 112,
sure.
but Jagged Edge got the bangers.
Totally.
Cool.
We like to end the lightning round. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the matchup to end all matchups. Hall & Oates versus Outkast.
Oh man, that's rough.
You got all the time. I would love to hear. I want to hear what you got to say about this.
Yeah. So it's. I think if you'd asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have just been like, Outkast. It's a wrap. But the last couple of years, I've actually spent a lot of time listening to Hall & Oates albums, like cover to cover, like going back deeper into their catalog, and I'm like, so deep. I think the first big unlock for them with me was when after however long that I'd never heard Method to Modern Love, and when I first heard that song. And was like, oh my God, this is where Method Man got the METHOD shit from. And I freaked the fuck out. I was probably like 19 or 20 at the time when I discovered that, and I like lost my mind. And that was like, that would have been 20 years ago. But I started like that prompted me to be like, oh my God, there's so much more here than just like Maneater and whatever else I was hearing on the radio when I was a kid. Still, I don't. Fuck, man, that's really
Boombox
hard.
is sick. That, or what's it? Is that the name of that album? Boombox, or no? It's I can't remember. It's It's something. Big Bang. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Big Bang.
Big Bang. That's a great record. Man, this is like
no
nearly
pressure.
this one's nearly impossible. This is like a chop off a hand situation. I think I'm gonna have to go with Outkast on this one, though. I think I'm gonna have to go with Outkast just for personal preference. I mean, Aquemini was one of the first. It was really ATLiens and Aquemini, like, simultaneously were two of the first rap records that really made me be like, oh fuck, that's an album. They're not that didn't exist in hip hop before then. There was, you know, plenty of great albums before that in hip hop, but like ATLiens is so cohesive, you know, from cover to cover. And if I put that album on in the car, if I'm driving around, I'll listen to it 4 times in a row. Yeah. Like, I'll just like let it play back over and over and over again. And Aquemini just completely broke my brain.
Yeah, it's crazy,
when I first heard it. I think it came out my sophomore year of college, I think it was. And I remember just being in my dorm room, just like playing it over and over again. I didn't even have like the tools to really process what was going on some of the tracks, because it was like the influences they were pulling in were so different coming from so many different places. I hadn't been exposed to much Southern hip hop at that time. I think like a lot of people, you know, like I had one friend who had a friend whose dad was in the military, and he would go stay with him in the South in the summers and would like bring back like tapes, you know, like random tapes and stuff. And that was really the only exposure I had. So like Aquemini was like showing me things that, you know, if you had been living in the South or something, you would have been knowing about, but I didn't know about it. And I was hearing it and just my brain exploded. But that's such a hard question. I mean, all Notes is like absolutely amazing. I think like I said, like the people, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize how deep Hall & Oates' catalog is. Right. You know, just like how many cuts they have. It's so much more than I mean, even just like a superficial glance, you're gonna think of like 10, 15 songs of theirs. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. You know, but it goes so much deeper than that. But yeah, just personal influence for me. Like, I don't think I can look away from Outkast, even though I sacrilegiously don't really like the Love Below very much.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I love Speakerbox. I'm not a huge Love Below fan.
Totally understood that backwards. Yeah. That's an interesting take to me.
Yeah.
That you like Speakerbox more than Love Below. That's cool.
Yeah. I really like Speakerbox a lot. Speakerbox has a lot of slaps. I like a lot of Big Boy solo projects too. Like every album he's done is so different. You know, it's so different from the last one. Through Lucius Left Foot, I think, is like a phenomenal record. So good. You know, it's such a good album, like super underappreciated. Anyway, I'm going out.
Love that.
There are so many layers to you, Adam, and I have a gang of questions that I want to ask. First of all, you just got. Now you're gonna have to tell me how to say this. Did you just get your black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
What got you into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So when I think like a lot of people my age, you know, I would go to like the shitty local video store, you know, like in like the neighboring town to me, it was called Very Video. Yeah, we didn't have a Blockbuster until like my senior year in high school. And so we would go to Very Video, you know, and me and all my little idiot skater friends and whatever, we'd be renting Faces of Death and like, you know, all that sort of shit. Like, you know, go to the I don't remember what the section was called. It was like Extreme Videos or something like that. and something, I mean, not joking, it was something comparable. It was like just that dumb. And one day we were in there, like the UFC 1 VHS tape was in there, and we were like, sumo wrestler versus boxer, gotta rent this. And so like, this was in like 95, 96, I'd say. The first UFC was in 94. So I popped out, you know, we rented it, we watched it, and, you know, that was sort of the big introduction of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into North America, because Horace Gracie, you know, beat everyone, and he was this like kind of scrawny looking Brazilian guy wearing a gi, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, I want to know that. Like, what is that? But living where I lived at the time, and honestly, unless you lived in Southern California at the time, like, you weren't learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the United States. There was only people you could learn from were basically in LA, San Diego, Phoenix, a few places in Florida, like, because all the Brazilians went to warm climates because they didn't want to live anywhere cold. So I started boxing a little bit after that. Started boxing when I was about 15, 16, and I boxed for 6 or 7 years. Competed for quite a while. I got a lot of concussions because I boxed my boxing style was a lot like Homer Simpson in that episode. You know, like, I basically would just like walk at you and I would walk at you like this and just like let you hit me on the head until you got tired, and then I would hit you harder than you were hitting me. Didn't do a lot of defensiveness. So I got a bunch of concussions. I had a neurologist be like, "You can't box anymore. You have to stop doing this," because I just started graduate school, and I was at University of Oregon in Eugene, and at U of O, they actually had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu PE class. It was like a 1-credit PE class. And so I'd always wanted to try it, and they told me I couldn't box anymore. I wanted to do something else. I saw the PE class, and I was like, shit, let's do it. So I started, and that would have been 2004 when I first started. And yeah, I've just been, 16, almost 17 years of just grinding away at it, like chipping away. And I mean, like, it was a trip too, because I'm not sure if you've had him on here, but like, DJ As Is was there with me when I got my black belt, because he was getting his second degree on his black belt at the same day. As Is a bad motherfucker. So he's a tall man.
Shout out.
Phenomenal DJ and a ridiculously good judo black belt and jiu-jitsu black belt. But so it was a trip to be there, have him there with me when I got it, and it was wild. It was a wild experience.
Man.
Next thing I wanted to ask you, you've been making a lot of mixes during quarantine, live from the closet, right? You're making these mixes of everything from Misfits to Steely Dan to post-punk to everything you can think of, 90s hip hop, everything. What inspires you? What is that indicator where you're like, I need to go record a mix?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like, honestly, when I first started doing it, I just told myself, okay, Sundays you're gonna DJ. DJing makes you happy. Sundays you're gonna DJ, because my job is takes up a shitload of my time during the week. Like, I frequently am like working from like 8:30 till 7 or so at night. And by the time I get done, like, I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. Like, maybe I read. I'm more likely just gonna like go to Taco Bell and watch a movie or something. So I told myself, okay, Sunday you're gonna DJ. And the first couple times I did it, I wasn't recording or anything. I just went in there and started playing. And I realized, like, not, and I've known this for a while, but like realized like not playing for anyone other than myself. I was like, this is a lot of fun. Like, it reminded me why I like DJing so much in the first place. I was just playing music I wanted to hear. And so these days, usually what it is I try to tell myself still, I'm going to DJ every Sunday, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to hit record. Like, hitting record happens when I have, it's as cliche as it is, it's just like something hits me and it's usually a song. It's a single song. It's one thing, it's like the last one I think I recorded, I was in the car, like some Spotify station was on or whatever, and I heard Rip It Up by Orange Juice, and I was like, I couldn't stop singing it for the rest of the day. I was like walking around singing it, and I was like, I'm gonna go record a set. I'm gonna play that song first, and then
see where it takes you.
See where it leads you.
Record, and it's usually that. Like, there have been a few instances where, I was inspired by something in particular where I was like, okay, so I recorded a mix of like all mid to late 80s, some early 90s Detroit techno, a couple months ago, because it was like a bit in the wake after George Floyd died, and I was like, people were posting sort of Black Lives Matter content of various forms, and I was like, okay, I want to do like a bit of a tribute to all of the Black founders of techno in Detroit. And so I plotted that one out a little bit more. Like, I didn't create the set where I knew exactly what I was going to play in what order, but I did through and like usually it really is just like I have a song in my head that I can't get out, and I'm like, I want to. The other thing that happens sometimes is, you know, like Excel or one of my other DJ homies in LA will contact me and just they'll text me, be like, hey, do you want to get coffee or something? And I'll be like, oh, sure, yeah, let's meet up. And just talking to another DJ for like 2 minutes makes me be like, oh, I should go DJ. Like sometimes that's all it is, especially if it's someone that I've DJed with a lot. Like, you know, 100 Proof is here most of the time now, and so you know,
Shout out.
Shout out to Jeff.
We'll do social distance barbecue in Hollis's backyard because they have a really sick space in East Hollywood. And so if I go hang out with Jeff, he and I have played, I don't even know, hundreds of parties together. You know, so anytime I hang out with him, like, cause we had like 3 monthly residencies together for 3 or 4 years. So like, we were together all the time. If I hang out with him for even a little bit, like, I'm going to come back and DJ because we're going to start chopping it up about something or another that's going to get my brain going, and I've got to come back and let it out. But yeah, it's
definitely.
That's dope. I do want to talk to you about you were the resident DJ at Tube for Tuesdays for a minute.
Yes.
Along with Travis says I've seen some shit there.
I mean, I have. I've seen Doc Adam get into some kind of weird zone, man, where it's like you would see him DJing, you would go up to him to say hi, and he's looking right through you because he's so focused. And those are like, he just rips it during those nights. Crazy. Yeah.
I want to ask you, what's the wildest thing you saw during your tenure at Tube?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So no names. You don't need to give any names.
For background context, and I mean, when, you know, and Jupiter knows this, but like I started DJing at Tube really frequently at the tail end of 2007. And then it was like 2008 was when I really sort of started taking over a lot of shit there. And at that time, like Old Town, Chinatown in Portland was absolutely fucking lawless. Like completely lawless. It was as if the cops didn't know it existed. Like we would put 140 people in Tube. Like, and you know, 20 of them would be on the sidewalk, you know what I mean? But like people would be standing on the bar, bartenders were just like doing lines of coke off of each other visibly in front of the crowd. Like it was absolute fucking mayhem. So like you need like a little bit of that context for any other stories I would tell. And I think like I would get so in the zone there because I could do whatever I wanted. Like the part of that was because I had sort of curated a vibe over the course of a number of years where like it was, people knew that they were coming, like it was going to be kind of anchored in hip hop, but I was going to go all over the place. And I had certain songs that became like anthems, you know, that I think any other DJs would come play with me from other cities and be like, I do not understand how you're playing Waiting Room by Fugazi right now. And like, there's 80 people singing along with you. I don't understand what's happening. Like, what is going on? And I'm like, well, I've done this every Tuesday for 5 years or whatever. Like, they know, like, he's going to play Fugazi, you know, and like, bartender's going to take his shirt off and start whipping it around like a Peter Pablo video, and I do it. Like, it's what's going to happen. But I think there's so many stories I can think of immediately. One of the funniest things I remember conceivably happening, there was oh god, and I'm like trying not to say names because I know exactly who all was involved in this, and I could name names later on because I think some of you know these people, or at least know some of the people.
I'm sure I do.
So I was DJing this girl. This all happened in very quick succession. There's actually a photo of me that I can probably find on my Facebook page. It was a profile photo where somebody happened to take a photo at the exact moment that this girl, who I kind of knew at the time, I still only kind of know her, but she was like a Portland fixture. She came up to me and like was trying to talk to me, and I have a long-standing reputation for just ignoring people when they're trying to talk to me when I'm DJing. I would just literally not look at them, like it would just make them go away. She reached her hand under my legs and grabbed my balls, like from behind the back, just scoop, swoop. And so there's this photo of me where there's this photo of me going like this, like Like that old plastic of that I used to have that plastic divider in front of the table.
Yeah.
And people thought I was like yelling at somebody. I'm like, no, like somebody was grabbing my nuts, which is why I made that face. Anyway, about 10, 15 minutes later, I look over because I don't remember if Austin was working security. I think Austin was working security at that time. Do you remember Austin?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. I think Austin was working security at that time, and I hear him being like, "What the fuck?" Like, no, like over the music. I hear him yelling, and I look over, and that girl is going down on another girl, like on the benches in front of where all the old bunny portraits used to be, all the bunny paintings around the wall.
Yeah.
She had the other girl's skirt just like hoisted up and was just like going to town on her, right? And so he's like, no. Like they would let like almost anything stand there, but this was not being tolerated. And it was like 2 a.m. Like it was like almost wrap up time anyway. So he was like, get out. And he was like, fuck this. I think he was pissed off and was having a bad night. So he was like, I'm calling it, like lights on, everybody out. So he starts kicking everybody out. And as people are getting forced out, like, we realized that there were, and we counted, and I don't remember what the total was, but like immediately after this happened, start counting, I think there was 240 empty whippets, just like scattered across the floor, over across that back wall.
Wow.
And so we were like, so were these girls? So presumably these girls were just like doing whippets and going down on each other for like some indeterminate period of time. That's
Jesus Christ.
It was the wild west out there, man.
I had somebody, a few other ones quickly. I had somebody hit me in the face with a dildo one time. Just walk up and just like snap me in the face with a dildo. There was an extended period of time when I kind of served as a bit of a bouncer in there. So there was a lot of instances where I would be playing a song, come out from behind the turntables, hem someone up, drag them out onto the sidewalk, throw them on the street, and come back in and continue playing. There was like because there would be like 100 some odd people, and there was only one security guard, and he was usually not doing any security. He was like smoking weed or like hitting on a girl or whatever, so he wasn't paying attention to anything. So somebody starts fighting, I would just be like, all right, fuck this shit, and I would put on the like Curtis Vodka 13-minute long Balearic version of like I Love You Always Forever by Donna Lewis or whatever, and just be like, all right, I'm gonna go over under this
13
guy.
To kick your ass.
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna put on your gi and then. All right.
The funny thing about ironically, the funny thing about jiu-jitsu is like I'm not saying this to try to sound like a tough guy either, but like if somebody's never like dealt with someone who's done Brazilian jiu-jitsu or judo or wrestling, like traditional freestyle wrestling or Greco-Roman wrestling for a long time, and I grab you, like people feel like they're gonna die. Right? Because like I know how to suck all of the air out of your body like really quickly, just getting a cable grip and like compressing you into me. And so sometimes I would do this to people face to face, where I would just grab them and basically like suck them into me and be like right in their ear and be like, "You're gonna calm down now." And then I would just like walk them out of the bar and then deposit them on the sidewalk and walk back in. But yeah, I could tell tube stories for days, but there was a portrait. There was also one of the other ones. They used to be back in the kitchen because everybody used to do drugs in the kitchen. That was like the designated drug doing area. There was like a cutting board that just always had a pile of cocaine on it.
Oh,
You'd go back there, and it was just like a mystery pile of cocaine just on a cutting board back there that was used to cut lime
salad,
but it was just covered in cocaine. But there was a portrait of all of the staff members. This was probably like 2008 or something. There was like pictures of all the staff members with descriptions of how they stored coke on them. So one of the people had the Dyson, was like written over someone's head. I don't remember what the other ones were, but it was like, that was the vibe. That was the vibe in that place during that era. It was absolute mayhem. Oh, and last one. A very good friend of mine who I know many of you know quite well. Won't say his name, although he would probably be happy if I said his name to the story. Another friend of 2 Christmas parties at that time were absolute mythical situations, right? So they were family only, like you had to get invited to go. And I was showing up late to one night, one Christmas, I think this was 2009, and a good friend of mine was standing outside arguing with some dude who was trying to come in, and I could see it. I was like parking the car or whatever. I could see him arguing with this guy. And the guy pulls out a knife. Not my friend, the other dude pulls out a knife and like starts like stabbing and jabbing it at him like this. Other friend of mine, who is a very, very, very large man who currently resides in Portland, who lived in LA for an extended period of time, and you can probably put this together if you DJ that tube in this era, whatever. I see him. He kicks open the door, comes out, just goes bang, and hits the dude with the knife, and he hit him so hard that the guy actually like levitated through the air, and it was snowing. The guy hit the ground and slid like all halfway down the street, like out into the middle of Third, and was just like laying there, like he like fell down to the ground. And like all three of us just like went into the bar and just like left him laying in the middle of the road. But that was and you know, no cops were called. But that was my last tube story. But I could go on with these for days.
Wow,
I love it. Yes. Yes.
We need to do a whole episode where we just talk to you about that. We could go on and on. I have a couple of off-the-wall questions here that I wrote down. What is the biggest lesson you've learned in 2020?
Ooh. That's an excellent question. I think there's a few things I've learned about myself that maybe fall into this bucket. I was talking to a good friend of mine in Seattle, not a DJ dude, just a dude I know from up there actually from jiu-jitsu, but I've known him for a really long time. And we were speaking recently, and he's like, so how's it been for you quarantining? And I was like, oh, it sucks, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, you actually like it, don't you? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you like it. Like, you like not leaving your house. You like this. And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, yeah, you do. And then like, I was like, no, I don't. Shut up. And then like, we hung up the phone, and I started thinking about it. I was like, he's right. I actually do kind of like this. Like, I kind of like the fact that like, nobody can make me come hang out with them. Mm-hmm. I'm hanging out, I'm reading books, and thinking around with music, working out on my patio, hanging out with my cats and my wife and whatever. Like, we're just chilling. Like, and like, oh, I'm actually like very happy. And it's not to say that I want to continue being in quarantine, but I was like, oh, I'm really happy just like being in my own space, doing my own shit. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't really need external stimulus to the extent that I really thought I did. And so I think that was a bit of like, I was sort of telling myself a story about myself, which is that I was mad about not being able to like go out and do stuff. But when I really reflected on it, I was like, no, I'm actually pretty content doing things this way. I'm pretty happy like this. I think if anything else, the other thing, I mean, this is just sort of like reinforced. Growing up where I did, and like with sort of the family that I had too, one half of my family's Finnish, and they're very Finnish, which means they're like super, like my grandparents are from Finland, like they're super stoic, this like, no emotion, like affectless upper Midwesterners. And I inherited a lot of that stoic mentality when I was a kid. You just sort of absorb it, so not getting stressed out about shit that you can't control, which is a totally reasonable way to live your life if you live in like the fucking Arctic Circle, which they did, because you're like, it's mostly gonna suck. It's gonna be fucking freezing. It's it's dark almost all day, half a year. We're chasing reindeer around up here trying to get them to eat. Like, it sucks. So like, to make peace with that, you have to be like, okay, I'm only gonna like trouble myself with the things that are in my control. Like anything that's not in my control, I'm just gonna let it be. It is how it is, independent. Whether I've stressed about it or not. Mm-hmm. And I've definitely had to call on that a lot. In the last year, just to be, not to be resigned and say like, I'm not gonna try to affect change in the world or whatever, but just for my own, mental health, just being cool with the fact of like, okay. Every morning I have to kind of ask myself like, okay, if you're stressed out about this, you're depressed about that, you're anxious about this, like what of these things can you actually affect? Mm-hmm. And the things that I can't affect, I need to let them go, because they're going to be the way that they are, whether I'm stressing about them or not. Right. So this isn't necessarily like a thing I've learned, but it's something I've grabbed a hold of that was kind of already in me and really leaned into. And I feel like it's enabled me to keep my head above water, more than I would, because I'm prone to being a super anxious person. Like that's just kind of how I'm built. So I've had to like lean into that to stem the anxiety, and it's definitely helped.
Good.
Sage. Gentlemen, I have a bunch of questions. I know any questions you guys want to fire off here?
Man,
I know Travis likes to talk about.
I do like to talk about my movies. So, what movies are you currently watching, or what movies did you just recently watch that you enjoyed?
So I've been while I've been on quarantine, I've been going back and watching a lot of movies that I've already seen, but maybe haven't watched in a long time. What in particular I've been doing lately is I started about a month and a half ago, maybe. I started just at the beginning of the Coen Brothers catalog.
Yes.
So I started with Blood Simple, and I just started at the beginning because, like, if people ask me, like, who are your favorite filmmakers, like, I always say the Coen Brothers. That's like usually my stock answer. And I realized I hadn't seen a lot of these movies in a long time, and I watched Miller's Crossing I've seen that movie, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, but I don't think I've seen it in 10, 15 years. Probably 15 years at least. I watched that a couple nights ago. That is a fucking banger. And I think it might be their best movie.
Really? Okay.
If you haven't, I'm
going to have to rewatch that. I'm going to have to rewatch that.
I'm not going to, like, stake my life on that claim or anything, but, like, it's amazing. I also, this actually all got started because I watched The Serious Man.
Okay,
it popped up on Netflix, so I watched The Serious Man, and I was like, "Fuck, this movie's so good," and like made me want to go back and rewatch everything. So, Miller's Crossing definitely was very hyped on that. I also recently, because a friend of mine wanted I still guest lecture sometimes in friends, especially now. Like, I'll do guest lectures in philosophy classes or cultural studies classes at universities here or there, and a friend of mine wanted me to come in and do a guest lecture in a class where they had just been talking about the Battle of Algiers, which is like a really classic piece of French cinema from the mid '60s. They were talking about Battle of Algiers and then Alphaville by Jean-Luc Godard. So I hadn't seen either Alphaville or Battle of Algiers since I was probably in graduate school. So I went back and rewatched both of those, and like, man, Battle of Algiers is like such a rock solid movie. If people haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Almost the entire cast of the movie was just like kids from the street in Algiers that they just found, and we're like, "You're in this movie now." And there was like only like 2 trained actors in the whole film, and it's like one of the best movies ever made.
Last time I saw that was in college.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. I hadn't seen it since probably 2004 or something. It's great.
Now, if we were making a movie about Doc Adam, who's playing you?
Oh, good God, I don't know. This is not a tube story. My favorite memory from a Portland Do-Over event was I was in like the like VIP area, like in the back when they were still at Purdue's Row, like in the back of Purdue's Row.
Yeah.
And this very, very drunk girl came up to me one time and said, she's like, "Oh my God, can I get a picture with you?" And I was like, sure. Well, like, why? And she was like, "I love your movies." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Aren't you Jason Statham?"
And I was gonna say Jason Statham.
And I was like, no. Aside from not being British and being covered in tattoos and whatever else, like, that is not me. But so I'm like, am I supposed to say him? Because like that's the only famous person anybody ever tells me I look like. I don't know.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's gonna work.
I'm running with Statham.
That's gonna work. Cause he could do all the action scenes for your jiu-jitsu, years and whatnot. So yeah, that's a good one.
I think he'd nail it. So you mentioned earlier that you're a Taco Bell connoisseur. Is that your go-to fast food place?
Oh yeah, for sure. In LA, I eat In-N-Out probably like every couple weeks. Like we'll do an In-N-Out run. But other than In-N-Out, I don't ever really eat any fast food other than Taco Bell. And it's not because I'm like, oh, I don't eat fast food. It just doesn't really occur to me to do it. Taco Bell is like one of my go-tos if I'm just like panicking and want something to eat. I'm like, shit, okay, Taco Bell.
So Taco Bell hits you up and they want to do something similar to what Travis Scott's going on over at McDonald's, and they want the Doc Adams meal. What is it?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So I'm a cheapskate, so I'm big on the value menu, right? So I was fucking really heavy with the beefy Fritos burrito. which they recently took off the value menu. So I've started recreating it with the dollar beef burrito, and then you add the red strips to it.
Oh yes.
So you get the crunchiness inside your beef burrito. So
it's a pro
I'm
hack.
going with yes. So I'm going with the two. You get 2 beef burritos with the red strips inside, chips and cheese, and a Dr. Pepper.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Settled.
And the person
Tell them Doc sent you.
The person that gives it to you in the drive-through window punches you in the nose, chokes you out, and then goes back to DJing inside Taco Bell.
Exactly.
All
Hey, Doc,
of that.
Doc, what was your favorite spot to eat at in Portland?
Ooh. Okay, so my favorite restaurant in Portland, if I'm like not factoring in cost or anything else, is Ox for sure.
Oh yeah.
Ox is like that's where like if somebody was like, I want to take you to dinner for your birthday, like it was always Ox for me. Like that's where I was always gonna go for like a higher end meal, or if I knew I was gonna spend some money on my food, it was gonna be at Ox. But man, Portland's food scene is so crazy. Like before I left, I was going to Han Oak a lot. Han Oak is dope. I was going there a lot. Where else was I eating a lot before I left? I don't know, man. There's so many places that I really like a lot. I was eating at XLB a lot before I left too on Williams. One of my friends was cooking there, so he would just be like, "Come by, I'll give you free xiaolongbao." Bao. So like that place is dope. Nothing else really nothing else really springs to mind.
Okay. Well, what about
you're the one that put me onto a Pizza Shoals. I will say a Pizza Shoals.
Pizza Shoals is dope.
Pizza Shoals.
Oh, you know where else I was messing with? You know where else I was messing with a lot was Pizza Jerk.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Second.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Getting the deep dish in the cast iron, getting the cast iron deep dish, because it's kind of like a Detroit pie.
Okay.
Not that different.
See, I haven't had that
pizza,
one.
So.
Okay.
Oh, Pizza Jerk is dope. You got to get Pizza Jerk and get.
I haven't had that.
Yeah, Pizza Jerk is great. It's like it's on 42nd. It's like right up the block from the spare room.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, if you know where spare room is, where they why am I forgetting the name of the party that?
Oh yeah, what was it?
The Get Down.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's right up the block from the Get Down. But yeah, that place is dope. Super good. It's right across the street, almost across the street from Old Salt, which is actually another super good restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, Old Salt is really good too.
Definitely.
I want to slide in a question. I know we got to wrap it up pretty soon. What is your take on Fleetwood Mac being the #1 song in the world right now?
Oh, I think it's great. I'm all about it. I've got no. I think that maybe this is the aging thing again. I don't know. Like I'm just like, because I see all these people being like, oh, like I can't believe people just found out about this song. I don't give a like. Who cares?
Right.
You know, like it just you're finding out about like. I can't imagine. I mean, I think about how hyped I would be now if I had like never heard Rumors, like never heard the album, didn't know it existed, and somebody just put it on for me, like cover to cover. I had a good pair of headphones on. I was sitting down. I'm like, my brain would explode. You know, like, that album is so good, and the production on that record is so next level. Like it's that and maybe some of the Doobie Brothers stuff from around that same era is some of the only shit that can like hang with Steely Dan in terms of like actual production quality, you know, recording production quality. And so like, look, if because of, you know, a random TikTok, all of a sudden people all over the world are hearing Fleetwood Mac for the first time, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it.
Definitely. I was just expressing that sentiment to somebody the other day where they said they had never heard Jay Dilla. And they just learned about Jay Dilla. And I was like, man, I'm so jealous that you're about to listen to Fantastic Volume 1 for the first time. I remember listening to that for the first time and being like, oh, fuck. And I wish I could get that feeling again about that. So, like, it's cool that people are, like, getting turned on to Fleetwood Mac. Like, hold on to your assholes. It's going to be a bumpy ride. The Dilla comparison's a great one. Because I remember when you know, Volume 2 came out proper, you know, like the actual, like, official release on MCA or Arista or whatever that was. That was in 2000, I think. And I was a sophomore in college. I think it was between my sophomore and junior year in college. And I
I remember just driving. I remember like putting it in my car, putting in the CD player in my car. I bought it in Detroit. I went to college in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
Bought it at Melodies and Memories in Detroit. Put it in my car, and a little intro comes on, and then that on Conant Gardens comes on, and I was just like, oh, I started freaking out because it didn't sound like anything else that existed on the planet at the time. Like it sounded like it came from fucking outer space. And that album is still like, that's one of my like top. I have a hard time ranking albums, but that's like one of my top 10 albums of all time for sure. Yeah.
Yo, man. Okay, so Doc, you're stranded on an island. What album are you taking? This is gonna be a hard one. What album are you gonna take? You have one album. What album?
I think about this a lot, which is kooky because I've been asked this a lot of times. I think I usually always answer the same way, and I think it's what I'll answer now, which is London Calling by The Clash.
Oh, okay.
I think if I'm get one record, I think I'm taking London Calling because that record it's musically diverse. It's got a pretty broad range of like there's a big sonic palette on there, between the range from Clamp Down to Rudy Don't Fail to Train in Vain, whatever. Like you have these sort of like power pop songs to like proper punk rock records to like that early infusion of like second wave ska. Like there's such a broad range of music on that album that I think it would have to be that. Like, and the funny thing is if you were like, is that your favorite album of all time? I'm not sure that's what I would answer.
Okay.
But I think that's the album that I would see myself be like, okay, I can go back to that over and over again because there's so much diversity to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my response.
Man.
Great answer.
Just dropping gems, man. Just gems.
London Calling is a shit. I'm stoked. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. We've heard so many different answers, and that one is definitely a great one.
Definitely.
Adam, tell the people listening where they can find you on social media. Where can they hear these mixes? Tell them whatever you want to hear. Will do. So I'm anywhere you go. I think with the exception of some social media platforms I don't use, I am at Doc Adam, DOCADAM. So that's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, which I never really post on. Infrequently, I'll decide if there's something on there. But that's also like all of my mixes are on Mixcloud. So it's just, mixcloud.com/DocAdam. And I think I don't even know. I think there's something like 160 live sets on there, something like that at this point in time. Like, because I think that's actually how Colin and I first kind of met each other. Was you heard a live set of mine, because I started recording myself anytime I could record myself. If I was playing on a 57 back when that was the thing, because I had a 56 with a Serato box. Like anytime I played on a 57, I recorded myself. So like. And I've done that my whole time DJing. Like anytime I could record, I did. And if there was like an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours of that set that I thought was cool, I would put. Back then, I was putting it on SoundCloud. And I've done that for years. So there's sets. There's actually sets on there as far back as 2002. There's like a live set I recorded on like a mini disc player at Blind Pig in Ann Arbor in 2002 when I was opening up for Idea and Abilities. On there from, if you want to listen to me play like indie rap, like Anticoni indie rap from like the early 2000s. You can go all the way back then, but yeah, live sets from all these places we talked about in Portland, Seattle, a few other cities are on there. Pretty broad range. I try to do a pretty good job of marking off like what you're going to get into musically, but sometimes I'm just in the bag and just what comes out comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's about it, man. Like I've been writing some stuff on Medium lately. There's a few things I've published recently, like in a few not exactly academic journals, but sort of like academic magazines, and I'll usually throw that stuff up on my Medium page. And I think I have like at Doc Adam on Medium too. So if you want to see me writing about kind of philosophy-ish stuff on there, that's all on there too.
Nice.
Man. Adam, you are a wealth of knowledge. You are one of my favorite DJs.
Sure.
We appreciate you for taking the time to join us, man. We got to have you back. There's so many questions that I wanted to ask. There's so much knowledge that you possess. We didn't even get to talk about your scholastic stuff, your doctorate. We
that's the reason why we call him Doc Adam, man.
Yeah,
come on.
we have so much. We have so much. We got to get you back on the podcast for. Yes. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you all.
Next week we have Bird Peterson. So Bird will be our guest. Shout out to Bird. We're actually doing the interview tomorrow. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all of our socials. That's 5 on 5 Podcast. Presented by Direct Music Service. Brought to you by Direct Music Service. Everybody stay safe, wear your masks, and once again, go check out Doc Adam. Peace, y'all.
Peace, Doc.
Hey, guys.